Okay. Hello. Everyone there?
Hey. GM.
Carlo, how you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. It is Monday. It is the kickoff of our latest edition of the Bearish Builder Sprint with Grind Coin. So it is an exciting week, that's for sure.
Yeah. We've been talking about this, or like internally for a while, right? So we did our test flight sprint a couple weeks ago. Blew us away with the amount of submissions, the quality of submissions, the amount of people that were onboarded into vibe coding, basically, natural language coding, AI assisted coding. So now we're kicking off an on-chain kind of format. So before it was kind of just totally optional, mostly off-chain stuff. But today we're kicking off the on-chain sprint. There's going to be a lot more stuff that people are going to be learning, right? So a lot of people learn how to code with AI, to create a web app or a game. And we're going to take it to the next level today and see what we can build with on-chain. So actually using, on-chain tokens. It'll be the GRIND testnet tokens, which we're going to be talking about in a little bit. But before we really dive into that, Pons, how you doing, brother?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Am I laggy? You're laggy for me. I don't know if I'm laggy for you.
Might be on your end. I think everything's fine on my end. We can ask the audience. Chat, everything good? Everything good? Does it sound okay? Does it look okay? Let us know. But I think it's fine. I think the audio is coming through regardless. Okay, people are saying it's good. Sweet. Yeah, Pons. So you've been working towards Grind for quite a long time. I think you mentioned somewhere.
Okay. Great. We're glad to be here. Yeah. Definitely excited for this week.
Yeah. Is there there might be a little bit of a lag? Can you hear me, Pons? Uh-oh. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a lag.
Well, yeah, but I think there's a quite a delay from when you're hearing me and I'm hearing you.
Huh. Carlo, any idea what's going on?
Are you watching this on Abstract, or are you staying in the StreamYard?
Right. Yeah. Are you watching on Abstract live, Pons? Because I think that you might have two windows open. You should be watching from the StreamYard link here.
Okay.
Incoming.
Let me.
Yeah.
Damn it.
No, that's all good. Just close out the Abstract stream, and everything will be fine. And then just make sure that you're looking at this from this, and it'll be good. Yeah, someone mentioned. Yeah, so here come the boomer jokes.
Yeah, sorry, Pons. We set you up for a boomer joke with the stream.
Already here 5 minutes in. I love it. Press power on the 56K modem. All right. So while Pons I
think this is super exciting. I was actually yesterday. I was messing around with V0, starting to work on my idea because I'm going to submit something just for fun. And I don't know. I don't think I'll be eligible to win anything. That's okay. I'm really interested in just kind of building something this week with Grind, especially because I've obviously an OG Plague holder. I've been a big supporter of the Plague and worked with Pons on a lot of things. So I'm really excited for Grind to come out. So I was actually working with V0 yesterday on helping me write a smart contract for the little mini app that I'm making. So I got some pretty good progress. I got some feedback on what I need to do from Scotty, because deploying a contract on Abstract is a little different than deploying one on ETH because they use ZK Sync. And I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit, later this week, but got everything ready to kind of go and do a test deployment to the Abstract testnet, hopefully, later tonight or tomorrow. I also have to file my extension for my taxes, but Good. Yeah, good reminder. Good reminder, everybody. So I think it's gonna be really interesting to kind of see what comes out of this week, and also what potential games or token sinks will be created for Grind. And I think this is probably maybe one of the first instances where you'll actually see some apps and games be developed before the actual coin goes live on mainnet, which I think is pretty cool too. So it's really interesting to engage with the community. We hope that the bears continue to build with us. We hope the frogs might jump into some of these workshops and build along with us, because you've been diehards for 3 years, and it's now it's time to let's put decentralized opportunity in action, and utilize some of these AI tools that are available to create some cool, fun games and apps and things like that for Grind.
Yeah, that's going to be so last week, Monday, we did a little workshop for the Newt hackathon that's going on at the same time too. And for the first time, obviously with Scotty's help, I was able to deploy something on chain that actually pulled your wallet and lets you do the rock paper scissors. I really hope people create games like that, right? That actually use tokens, right? That's going to get interesting. And so the purpose of using testnet is just basically so you don't spend other tokens, and so you don't spend real gas money, right? So testnet is basically free development. Otherwise, you'd be paying if it's on the mainnet, right? So we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but excited to see what you build, Carlo. I'm going to try to fire up something too. I would love to personally try to build an actual Ponzi game. That's the wrong word, but experimental game economy. I think that would be cool, fun, and see if we can actually do something there. Are you with us, Pons? All right. Well, Pons gets back online. We'll keep going here. So let's talk about kind of the details of what it means to work on chain right now, right? So we have. I'm going to do something. I'm going to share my screen real quick. We're going to go over to this. Okay. All right. So we have an updated website now. So basically, so when you hop on, so submissions open this Friday. So you have all week to build. And submissions close on Sunday, so you'll have the weekend too. So you have a good, 6 days here, maybe 7 days. And basically what you need to do is to build something on chain. It is optional, but it is recommended. We're going to talk about some ideas of kind of what would be fun to build, right? And so to get testnet tokens, just press this button. And it'll give you all the instructions, right? You have to make sure that you add the abstract testnet to your MetaMask, and then you have to get testnet Ethereum, right? So basically, what that does is it makes it so you can use that testnet ETH to actually do transactions. Again, otherwise, if it's on mainnet, you have to pay actual money, which you don't want to do, if you're doing a lot of testing. So then the final step, we're going to open up. Actually, we have a form right now, and you can request testnet grind. Okay, so we'll send that to you here within about 24 hours. So you have to play with that. In the meantime, you can get your project set up, or you could just play with the testnet ETH instead of the grind itself, right? So this is an extra kind of optional step, and you can really use any token for this, not just the testnet grind. So checking in with Pons. How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can.
Holy crap, that was so annoying. I kept coming back, coming in and out, hearing you guys sounding like robots. It was, why can't we just stick to the
Pons.
one technology, Carlo, one technology.
Yeah, one technology. I want to make one note about the testnet tokens. When you're requesting them, what I would recommend, if you're planning with your game or app to deploy a smart contract to interact with it in any way, what I would recommend is setting up a fresh wallet, a fresh MetaMask wallet. Because when you are if you do deploy a contract, you will need to export the private key to utilize that in the deployment process. So you might want to just have, for the building and testing purposes for this week, set up a brand new MetaMask wallet so it doesn't have any of your other assets in it, in case for some reason you expose or you send your code up to GitHub and you forgot to hide your private key. It won't mess anything up. So I would just recommend that, and then request those test tokens to your new test wallet, essentially. So that's what I recommend, just for security purposes. Most often you're going to be okay, but it's just better if you do plan to deploy a smart contract, set up a separate wallet for it.
Yes, yeah, that's good advice. And also, if you're a new coder, it's probably not recommended that you create a smart contract. There's going to be all kinds of vulnerabilities, security issues. You don't want to be liable for that. We're actually going to be providing a canned contract, just like a kind of a contract for people to use. And what that is it'll be just kind of a general thing, so that you can request usage of somebody else's grind token, right? So let us provide that for you. I will give instructions for how to use it, et cetera, et cetera. It's not recommended to build your own smart contracts, but if you do, be careful with it, and put plenty of warnings all around. So yeah, so we'll talk more about that, probably in a Discord chat, more details. But I want to go over kind of like the categories here real quick. So again, there's 777 million grind that's being distributed to builders. So every quality submission will get a participation allocation, right? Quality submission means, does it work? And does it look like you kind of gave a shit? So if it doesn't work, you're disqualified. And if it just looks like you just did something canned, or you grabbed a template from somewhere else to try get allocation, you're going to be disqualified. Okay, but in general, there are 2 main tracks and 2 bounties, and we're going to talk about this a little bit. So the 2 main tracks, the first one is just general apps and games that use the grind IP. Okay, so this track actually doesn't require you to integrate on-chain functionality, right? So the idea here is to use the grind IP, the hamster, and create something, right? Could be a platform game, et cetera, et cetera. And the other track, the token integration and utility, this is actually integrating the token, right? And so this is going to be a little bit harder, but and I feel that there's probably going to be a few less people submitting here, but I know everybody loves a good challenge, so I don't know, maybe we'll get more. We'll see. And then the final thing, I'm actually going to pass this over to Pons to talk about the Making Coffee and WenSwap bounties. Okay, so Pons, tell us what this is. I'm sure there's a lot of people that aren't aware of Making Coffee and WenSwap. What are we looking for as far as like submissions here?
Yeah, I mean, I can go into that as part of a bigger spiel. So do you want me to get into the bigger spiel? Or do you want to wrap some of the housekeeping items up, and then I'll go into it? Okay,
cool. Yeah, let me wrap stuff up, and we'll dive into that and kind of what we're looking for across all these tracks and bounties. And so we're going to be selecting a few streamers to help us review these projects. Okay, so you're going to be streaming live, and basically going over, I don't know, 5 to 10, maybe 15 projects. Dropping in notes, giving a rating, that kind of thing. That's going to help us to crowdsource, the review of this stuff, and hopefully get it done quicker. So that's the streamer track, and we'll make sure to give more info about this, towards the submission time. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to cover. Pons, would love to pass it over to you and kind of talk about what is grind, what is the vision, and what do you want people to build? What do we want to see as far as submissions?
Sure. How do I sound? I sound okay?
You sound kind of bad.
You sound like a frog.
Yeah, well, so do you guys. That's why I was asking. Son of a. Hold on one second.
Strange.
Is that better?
I think so. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah, we're good.
first of all, it wouldn't be a plague space outside of Twitter that didn't have technical difficulties. So this is everybody's normal. It's a boomer in me. Yeah. So I mean, first of all, I guess second of all now, very appreciative of this event and this opportunity. The plague was minted in April of 2022, so we are on our 3-year anniversary this month. And when we minted the project, one of the core mission was to decentralize opportunity, and so that means a lot of things. And we've done a lot of that through the years, both for individuals, for projects that we've launched out of our frog tank, which I'll come back to in a minute. People we've connected in the space. We've had a lot of, as I've frequently put in my posts, we've had a lot of successes and a lot of failures along the way. And one thing that I think is cool about this week is that we have a lot of those failures that maybe were decent ideas, but either weren't executed correctly, weren't the idea was good, but the process to making the idea work wasn't so good. And I think what bearish in this hackathon week can do for us is plant seeds in all of the potential devs, or whatever you guys are calling yourself, vibe coders, minds here, and help us come up with ideas that were maybe better than what we thought of to begin with. And more importantly, we can see at least a mini version of them working. So I'm very excited about this week for that reason. I mean, bearish, I think Scotty and Toli have said it before on calls, is a better version of what we wanted to do with the frog tank. So for those that don't know about the plague and who we are, one of the first things that we created in 2022 was our frog tank process. And that was a knockoff on Shark Tank, where businesses would present us, or people would present us their business ideas. We would take those ideas, and if we liked them, we would put them through our process, which was, mediocre at best at the time. But we would launch these projects, and they would go on to fulfill their missions. And so most recently, our last frog tank project, the last frog tank project, was Candace Sapiens, which launched on Abstract. But that process, one of the flaws in that process was that a lot of the people that came to us really were looking for the frogs, either for their money, and I don't mean that in a bad way, or just from a mint perspective, or their support on the timeline because it's a super strong community, or for help from myself. So that's fine. And for us, it was supposed to be an additive for the frogs and an additive for the frog tank projects. It became dilutive, but I'm digressing a bit. My point is that the bearish community and the bearish project is a better version of that. What we're going to do this week is a better way to do what we wanted to do with the frog tank, and I'm very excited to see it play out. So Toli talked about Making Coffee and WenSwap, which were born out of the utility Wen mint that happened in 2023, June 2023. And so WenSwap and MakingCoffee.com were both businesses that were launched that would utilize our overarching thesis that the frogs would try to use when we were launching businesses, which is that you build brands better when you build them with a community. So WenSwap, and I'm just going to give a quick high level. I had a presentation put together, but I was like, well, first of all, I don't want to get that far in the weeds. Second of all, it's not really my thing to do those kind of presentations. So I'm going to give a quick overview, and then as we get into Q&As, if you want to drill down into them, we can. So WenSwap.io is an inventory tokenization platform. And so what it allows, or what it's supposed to allow, is for businesses to tokenize their inventory, sell that inventory to the utility Wen holders, which gives them some liquidity. And then the utility WEN holders can consign that tokenized inventory back to the business and let them sell it. And if you go to WenSwap.io, there's a little bit more information there. But essentially, this is a way to utilize a community to create cash flow for a business, but also to reward that community through profit on selling that tokenized inventory back to the business as they sell it to the end user. So it replaces what would traditionally be utilized, the banking system, with holders of utility WEN. So that's WenSwap in a nutshell. Again, if you have questions, we can drill down to it.
So it's basically like to simplify it a little bit, like in the example of making coffee here, which is kind of the first customer, looks like, or the first client of WenSwap, kind of use case. You can purchase. So explain how that works. Like, say, I want to purchase, the inventory for making coffee here, just, I don't know, 1 pound here for $9, and I hold on to that. Am I expecting the value of that purchase to go up, or kind of what? Explain that.
If you can click on that, and then there's also a schedule within the pictures when you click on that. So the way this worked is we sold the inventory in 12-ounce bags and individual units for, I think it was somewhere around $9 at the time. And is that the right one? Yeah. So if you click on that picture with the schedule there below.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah. So yeah, we sold it for $9 at the time. And in the traditional model, this is just the MVP, when it launches, if I was a utility WEN holder, I could take delivery of that coffee at that $9 price, or, which is what we did only in the MVP, is you can consign it back to the business. So in this case, the holders bought the coffee at $9. They consigned it back to Making Coffee, and Making Coffee is selling it. And so as Making Coffee sells the inventory, they buy it back along that schedule. So we're in I think it's month 8 right now. So we would be buying back that coffee at $9.90 as we sell it this month. If you go into a queue, and we buy back in order of that queue. And so if you haven't had your coffee purchased already in month 8, we would buy back the coffee at $9.90, which is a gross margin of 8.26%. But if you put that as an APY, it's over 15% APY if you think of it as a yield on an asset. So that's how it works. You buy the inventory is tokenized. You can take delivery of the inventory, or you can consign it back to the business, and the business sells it for you. So it's the opposite of drop shipping. For those that understand how the drop shipping work, which is going to be kind of thrown into a tizzy with all these tariffs. A lot of times the inventory would be available on a website like AliExpress.com. People would build sales funnels that would drive sales of those products, and they would never inventory it, but they would just drop ship it from the AliExpress inventory. This is the opposite, where you've got businesses that already have existing sales funnels. You're tokenizing the inventory. You're buying the inventory in a tokenized form, and they're selling it for you. So that's WenSwap.io. Did I explain it good enough, Toli?
Yes. Yeah. And so let's pop back over to this, to these prizes here. Okay. So as far as what you like what would be interesting for you, for somebody to build something for WenSwap here?
Yeah, so for me, it's actually building an all-encompassing thing for WenSwap and Making Coffee. And this can actually be utilized with any business. Making Coffee really is the first use case for WenSwap. And what we're trying to create here, and what I'd love to see come out of this hackathon, is somebody come up with what we were trying to do originally, which is an all-encompassing model that rewards the community every step of the way. So for instance, at makingcoffee.com, the job of makingcoffee.com is to sell coffee. That's simple enough. We've complicated it more than it needed to be when we launched it, but in general, the makingcoffee.com sells coffee online like a million other direct to consumer brands out there. So what would be cool is for somebody to come up with a process that is automated, either utilizing AI or other technologies, that says, okay, the inventory is purchased at WenSwap. kickoff.io for the Making Coffee. It's tokenized. That inventory automatically goes into makingcoffee.com's inventory, which is utilizing Shopify, but we can use whatever. Then as that inventory sold, it automatically, without having a middleman go through it, relieves that NFT inventory and sells it and buys back the inventory from the person that consigned it back to makingcoffee.com. So that's really what we're trying to do. But in that process, we also want to have grind rewards. So if I refer somebody to makingcoffee.com and they use my referral code, maybe I'm rewarded in grind. If I buy coffee at the Making Coffee website, I can claim grind as part of my coffee purchase experience, and I can utilize it in some of the cool things that we're going to do with grind later on down the road. Making Coffee could burn grind. So we've got all these different possibilities, and I don't want to really tell people what to do because, I've had lots of ideas here. Most of them haven't worked. I'd love for somebody else to come up with an idea that is better than what I can come up with. Maybe
There's a folder. There's a folder here with some ideas people could like touch on and play with, and I think the idea is to like whatever you build is probably not going to be full production ready, but it'll be a representation of your idea, right? Basically a proof of concept for a gamified engagement and and reward system, or like Pons mentioned, the referral system, right? Actually rewarding somebody with with grind if they refer somebody. So
yeah, the high level idea, and again, how it gets there, there's a bunch of different ways, but the high level idea is to create a business model that incentivizes the community to push the business products and rewards the community in doing so. And grind can be a perfect mechanism for rewards, and that's how we're looking at it. So again, reward the community by letting them buy the inventory and make money on the inventory when it's sold. Reward the community for referring people to the website to buy the coffee. Reward people that are buying the coffee themselves through grind. There's a million different points, or not a million, but there's a bunch of different points you can reward people through the process. And the business itself needs to make a profit, but really, if in this model that I'm trying to get to, it only needs to make enough profit to make sure that it has a rainy day fund from a cash flow perspective. So maybe that's 6 months of cash or 9 months of cash on hand to pay the bills, and the rest of it should be utilized. So every dollar of profit should be divvied out so that a percentage of it's going back to the community, a percentage of it's going back to the people that bought the inventory, a percentage of it's going back to buying grind to reward the community, or maybe even burn grind, and a percentage is going into that rainy day fund for operating expense. What we're trying to build is a community-owned business that is making profit, but not for the business, but for the people involved.
love it. Okay, cool. Yeah. We could, we could talk more about Making Coffee and WenSwap. I'm sure people are gonna have a lot of questions. Yeah, actually, if you guys have questions, just a quick little break here. Drop them in the chat. We'll do a Q&A after this, and answer Qs. We also don't forget to clip this stream as well. Clipping actually gives you XP, and actually Abstract is actually paying people for clips. So if you hear something interesting or something funny happens, clip it and post it, and if you get views, then you get paid by Abstract. So anything else on the Making Coffee WenSwap stuff here before we look at the main tracks?
One other big part of Making Coffee was or is that we want to get funds back to the farm workers directly. We did that with our partnership with El Salvador and Bitcoin. There's been some issues with that specifically, but that's another part of it, is that, when I say a percentage of the profit from Making Coffee would also go to be tipping farmers. I think we're going to start moving towards utilizing an EVM solution for that as opposed to Bitcoin. So that's another thing just to keep in mind as we build this process out.
Perfect. Yeah, that would be interesting, like to reward farmers, even just like a cut of any kind of grind transaction or something. That's super cool. I like that. All right, so apps and games, token integration, and utility. So Yeah. Apps and games. This is talking about so you can optionally use the grind token here. It's it's recommended, but this is where it can get very fun and interesting once you start to use the hamster in the IP, and the grind team has actually prepared a couple of assets for people to use, right? At the very least, like GIFs and that kind of thing. Is that right, Pons?
Yeah, and we can help with others if there's a specific request. We can, as long as it's reasonable, we can probably help with others.
Cool.
All right. I have an unreasonable request. I need someone to make a hamster racing game. I feel like that was a pretty popular meta for a little bit. And we've got a hamster. So let's grind one out.
Well, there's funny thing about that. It'd be great to have you talking about like a Z run for hamsters.
Yeah,
First
exactly.
of all, that would be awesome, and I think it'd be popular. But we might. It's not 100%. I'd say it's 90%. We might kick off this whole thing with a live hamster race utilizing grind token. So that'll be fun if we do it. But the Z run hamster would be even better, I think.
Yeah, you can do it additionally. And then also there's apps can be anything, right? It could be something with socials. It could be some sort of helpful tool. I've seen like the past sprint, we had someone create a educational tool like a learn to earn. You can kind of go down that route. Maybe there's something that you want to build in that respect, or some kind of life tool. Like think of all the apps that are in the app store. What would you take from an app store app to improve it and integrate with a potential blockchain token, right? Like think about those things. Think about the problems that you have or deal with at work, in your life, in your social life. What problems do you have? And could you create a solution with an app that would solve some of it, right? Any problems in the space that we have, like, we've spent a lot of time in Web3. What are some of the problems we have, like whether it's streaming or on social or managing a project? Like, what are the main problems that you're running into as a community member or someone's part of a project? Build a solution for that. Integrate grind. You can also expand it at some point, right? So like, I think those are kind of the things that I'm thinking about when I'm trying to create or ideate on an idea. Is like, let's try to find a problem and create a solution with it. If you're going the app route, the game route, just go crazy and create like fun games that you like. You've played a lot of games probably. What you like, what other people probably like too. So think about the mechanics, make it fun, make it engaging, not too complex. Decide whether it's going to be, just kind of a time waster, like Scott used to say, a toilet game where you're just kind of playing when you're on the toilet, or if it's something a little bit more complex, and it's something that you're gonna do something that's more like RuneScape-esque or something, whatever. So kind of think about those types of things and try to narrow it down into a real solid focus, and then go at it. I think that those are some important things to kind of think about when you're deciding whether you're going to go app or game.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what people submit there. The first test flight sprint that we did, we had like such a wide variety of submissions. Everything from, oh my god, from Candy Crush type of concept to clicker games, matching and memory games, bingo, et cetera, et cetera. So I feel like this time around, right? So that was the first time we did it with our community. I think it was over 50 people that submitted projects. It's been about 3 weeks since then. And so I feel like people are going to be leveling up a little bit, just in terms of quality and, their ideas. So yeah, excited for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then for the token integration and utility, this is a bit more, this is more like, I guess you could say kind of like DeFi or kind of token, like on-chain, like very on-chain specific apps, essentially, right? So staking, burn mechanisms, right? Like some of these will be kind of proof of concepts, not fully integrated into some kind of app, but it's just kind of a proof of concept. Look, I can do this, right? and this could be a part of something bigger, right? And so all of those kinds of, submissions will be included in that. So
yeah. And I mean, there might be the possibility. I mean, so you're gonna have to pick one of those tracks, obviously. So you're gonna pick apps or games, or you're gonna do token integration and utility for whatever you're building. The bounties are additional. So like within your app or game or your token integration utility, if you have something that utilizes or supports or creates an idea for making coffee or WenSwap, like that is how the bounties work. So it's just like, it really depends on what track you're going to go into, and then what you decide to build, and whether that is going to incorporate making coffee or WenSwap, or you're just going to do your own thing. Both are totally acceptable. So just kind of wanted to just outline how that's going to work. The other thing is, you might be looking to integrate grind into your game, right? But you'll want to submit it into one of the two tracks. So just kind of you'll have to make that decision for yourself. If you actually get a full integration into your game with the grind testnet token, maybe you do it into the token integration side of things, because there might not be as many people there. It's kind of like just a little hack there. But yeah, definitely, I think the token can have a lot of use cases, depending on our imaginations, our creativity. How do you utilize that token? Because the more utility that we can kind of create as proof of concepts, it gives them a lot more options on the grind team to, potentially implement or utilize. And it'd be really cool to see a meme coin, a people's coin like this launch with, potentially a bunch of different apps and games already associated with it.
And that's where it gets really interesting. So Pons, I don't know if you've publicly announced the date of the token launch. I don't think you have, but can you give us an idea of when-ish?
Yeah, when-ish. The goal is to launch it before the end of this month. So I think, that's the easiest way I can say it.
Cool.
And so I think, and Carlo, you kind of were breaking up on me there a little bit, but there is overlap, right? If somebody creates utility for the token within Making Coffee and WenSwap, they would qualify for both tracks. Is that correct? Or same with the games, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And the one thing I would say is this is an opportunity. Again, a lot of these ideas have come from a small group of people that we've tried to execute. This is an opportunity if you've had an idea that you think we should have done, to either tackle it yourself or gather a team and tackle it as well. And I'm really hoping to find something cool here. And if we do, and if it's not fully done, it's to Toli's point, it's an MVP. This is what we can do. This is how we're going to do it. We'll latch on to it, and we can bring you guys on, whoever's part of that team, to help us execute it in full. Right? This is an opportunity. What we're looking for is to use this grind TGE as an opportunity to execute upon things that we have failed to execute for different reasons in the past. And really what we want to do is create a new way of doing business. And I'm really hopeful and looking forward to seeing the ideas that come out of here. And I think that's one of the best parts of being in Web3, besides the community, is crowdsourcing of ideas. And I haven't seen a group that's executed that greatly yet, or very well yet. And I think that we can here. So I'm very excited about it.
Yeah. Imagine. Yeah. I mean, I feel like by the end of this week, by the end of Sunday, we're gonna have some decent things, and it's very possible that even like on day one of grind, that some of these things will actually be live. And immediately usable, right? You've already got the IP, of the meme coin. Amazing, fantastic. And then to have a couple of, crowdsourced, community created apps and games and experiences, especially if there's like some sort of burn mechanism, that's very bullish.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say this: I've been in the Plague for almost 3 years, part of the community. I participated in the Frog Tank process. I've always been a big believer and supporter of the Plague manifesto and the mission Pons has kind of led throughout the past 3 years of just decentralizing opportunity. And that's what attracted me to to the plague was that mission, right? And we didn't really have the tools back then to really empower the idea people, the creators, the dreamers, right? When I went through the Frog Tank process, I basically had a pitch deck, right, to kind of explain my idea. And fast forward to now, the past 6 months, I've been kind of exploring all the different AI coding tools, being able to code with native language, just being able to say, hey, I want to build this. This is what I want it to do. This is the user journey. These are the mechanics. This is what I want to integrate, all that stuff, to be able to just tell your assistant, what you want. And then, kind of create a working proof of concept that you can then share as part of your idea submission, your pitch, essentially. That just is more impactful than a pitch deck, because they can actually utilize it, right? They can see what you're thinking. And that's not just pitching to, a hackathon or to a company, but even just pitching to like another team of developers that you might want to work with to expand the idea, to make it better. It gives them an idea. It gives them a visual working example of what you want to build, and then they can improve upon it too. So like, I'm just trying to encourage as many people as possible to join in with us this week. If you were with us the first time around, continue to build, continue to refine. If you're just joining us, jump in, dip your toe in, see what you can build this week with us. I think it will unlock, some potential in a lot of people. And, if you have good ideas, if you just don't have the tech skills, don't worry about it. Just try, just give it a go. You'll find that it's almost like playing a game, right? You're going to get to a point where you're going to experience errors in something in your code. And then you're going to have to like, all right, well, this is the gamification of vibe coding, right? How do I get this AI coding assistant to understand or fix this error? So now I'm going to have to, start communicating with it. So it becomes this kind of like text-based game of building an app or a game, right? So think about it like that. Think about it as a game. Think about it as a hobby. Something to pass the time, and something that you can have fun with it. And if you get frustrated, step away, come back later. It's right. It'll be there for you. So that's what I would recommend just from my experience. And I'm just really excited to see what y'all build this week.
Yeah, exactly. And the idea is very well said, Carlo. The idea is to make this, super inclusive. Everybody can participate, everybody can build, right? We have actually, we'll link to our past workshops that we've done where we kind of went over this stuff, just basic, what tools to use. And actually, we're going to continue the workshops this week, every day this week. We're going to have workshops between Carlo, myself, Scotty, and maybe a couple of others to kind of build stuff together, right? And so that's going to give you, good education. And again, the on-chain stuff, is optional. It's recommended, but it's optional. And if it's your first time vibe coding or building with Cursor or V0 or Replit, whatever, don't start with that. Just create a little proof of concept, a little game in an hour, 2 hours. You can do that, and then from there, scrap it, start over, and try to challenge yourself to build something on chain. To at the very least, connect your wallet, et cetera, et cetera. So. The website has been updated with links to Making Coffee, WenSwap. Piff mentioned that that this button to click abstract testnet to MetaMask wasn't working. Should be working fine now. So if you click this, it'll actually just add the testnet directly to your MetaMask. And yeah, I'm excited.
Let's see if anybody has any questions. You can drop them in the chat, and we'll ask whoever you want to ask a question to. So, Pons, if there was one thing that you wish that someone could build, what would it be?
Yeah, I don't know what the one thing is, but I don't think I would just recommend for people to think outside the box. I know it's very cliche to say that, but I mean, I was thinking through this and was thinking, well, what if you could go to a website and you're greeted by an AI agent that walks you through the shopping process. You don't actually have to go to different pages. You just ask questions. You just say, I want this coffee, and it brings it to you, and you purchase it right there, and then it shows you what farmers you tipped and those other things. So I don't know if there's a perfect thing. I'm just thinking to try to think of a new way of making a customer experience better. But I kind of dodged the question. To me, the best thing that will come out of this is that somebody comes up with an idea that I didn't think of. And it's so cool that we leap on it and put it in place right away. That would be the best case scenario for me.
Yeah, I like
And for that
So
person, if that happens to, just to reiterate, if somebody comes up with an awesome idea, we utilize that idea. It'll be more than just this hackathon. We'll bring that person on to help us actually implement the idea and make it happen. So keep that in mind. This isn't a here's a grind. Thank you for the idea. We're gonna go make a bunch of money on it. This is, again, what the point of this is to this is grind is the people's meme coin in lots of ways. And one way is this process, so that the people are helping us create syncs and cool business mechanisms for it, business processes for it. And we want to reward those who help us get there.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you heard it here first, everybody. If you create something, your idea is so good that they want to implement it at Grind or Making Coffee, you might get a little bit of maybe a side gig. Go on that journey and continue to build it out with them and the team. So that sounds awesome. Again, decentralization of opportunity. That comes with some caveats. I think that decentralizing opportunity is a great idea, but you also have to be ready to seize the opportunity. And that means you have to have the time, you must do the work, and you've got to put yourself out there. So this is what this is about. It is about being ready to seize that opportunity. The opportunity is now being presented to you. So now you got to go out and build and bring your ideas to life. And good luck to everybody who does. And maybe you'll be a new member of the Making Coffee team, or maybe their contracting team. If you can come up with something that Pons has never seen before, or you improve the customer experience. That AI chatbot or whatever sounds really cool. If you could just go to a website and say, hey, I want 6 bags of the Costa Rican blend, put in my cart right now, and go take me to the checkout page, and it just does that all for you.
Yeah, or imagine you land on the page and that goofy hamster's there, and then you say, hey, I'm looking for a dark whole bean coffee, and it shows you a couple options. And anyways, I don't want to come up with the idea. I just want to throw things out there.
So Pons, so what I'm hearing here is that Pons misses Clippy, the paperclip from Microsoft Windows. So he just wants you to build the hamster into Clippy, the paperclip.
Why not? Yeah, exactly.
So, all right. So we got about 10 minutes left here. What's the schedule like this week, Carlos? So we have this one today at 11. We've got a workshop tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Do we have that schedule laid out?
Yeah, we will have those as Discord events in the Discord. I believe Scotty is tomorrow. I'm Wednesday. I have to go look at the schedule again just to get all those updated, and then we can share those in the builders chat too, or the resources section.
Perfect. All right, cool. So Scotty tomorrow, probably doing some on-chain stuff. And Carlo Wednesday, myself Thursday, Friday, we'll do something together. I'll maybe bring Pons back on and kind of look at, kind of just look at what people are building and, encourage people to keep going. And then you have the weekend to build. Submissions open Friday at noon, I believe it is. Friday at noon, you can start to actually submit your stuff. And you have until Sunday, 11:59 p.m. Eastern to submit your project. Yep. And then we're going to be selecting a couple streamers to actually live stream, some of these project reviews and take it from there.
Yeah, and I will say, just found out that there is a fake Grind coin launched on Abstract. So Grind coin has not launched. Do not interact with that contract or buy it. It is a scam. So congratulations, Pons, you made it.
Yeah, well, who said the ticker could be anything anyways? Maybe it's grinding, maybe it's grind, maybe it's something else. Who knows? But the grind the coin. I'm only saying that to keep the scammers at bay. It'll be what it is when we launch it.
Okay, so it's not actually grind; it's something else.
It could be grind. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, it's grounded, as in you are grounded for whoever launched that token. Don't do that. All right. Well,
that was definitely a boom. That was definitely a boomer joke.
Yeah.
right
Well,
there,
I'm
Carlo.
trying to
That
throw a
was
dad joke in there. I'm a
Yeah,
real sassy dad today.
You succeeded for sure.
We got to have some fun. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to cover today, Toli? What do you feel?
I think that's good. I mean, I will pass it over to Pons for any kind of kind of final thoughts. But I'm again 777 million grind allocated for the hackathon for builders, and we hinted in the Discord a little bit earlier about there being a separate allocation for bearish as well. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. That's for all holders. And Pons, you want to wrap it up with anything?
No, I would just reiterate that number is 1% of the total allocation. So that's depending on how the token does, that's a very healthy allocation being awarded to the hackathon participants. Again, I appreciate you guys, Toli, Carlo, Scotty's not on here, for putting this together for us. I'm very excited to see what comes out of it. And I hope a lot of the community, both within Bearish and Frogs and others, get involved. And I get a million ideas thrown at me since I've been here. Now it's time to take your ideas and put them to use. Let's see what you guys got. I'm looking forward to it.
Perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. We'll be providing the tools for people to make their ideas come to reality. If you're in the Bearish or the Frog Discord, if you haven't noticed, there's a new channel in both of those that links conversations. So if you chat in the Bearish server in that channel, it'll go over to the Frogs and vice versa. So that's a great place to be chatting about what you're building, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll keep you updated. Keep an eye out for the schedules for the rest of these workshops we're going to be doing, and let's grind for some grind.
Yeah. Shout out to the sassy dads, all the sassy dads out there. Shout out to you.
Love it. Okay, well, I'm gonna close this out here with let's see here, grind the coin. We're gonna close it out with the grind theme song, which has been stuck in my head since I first heard it about 3 months ago. So hope you guys enjoy it too. See y'all.